So here is the question. You have to solve this system by the Gauss elimination method. So I have already given you how to use Gauss elimination method to solve a system of equation. Today I will make that method a more compact, okay, so that we can do it very quickly. So we write this we write this whole thing in a form of a table. We call that table as a compact table. Okay, see, the choice is yours. If you don't like this method, you can do it by the method which I taught you in the last class. Okay, so I am teaching you both the ways to do or to use Gauss elimination method. The choice is completely yours. Which one do you want to use? This is basically doing the same thing. The process will not change, but doing the same thing in a more compact form. How? I will make a table. So this table will show me some steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3 and so on. Now here I have multipliers. What I mean by that I'll tell you a bit later. So here I have mij's, which are multipliers. I have x, y, z and this number which I call this as b. So this table I will require this table. I should have taken more space for this one. Anyways, I will try to fit. So what are the coefficient of x? 1, 1, 2. Right here 1, 1, 2. Okay. Coefficient of y is what? 2, 3, minus 1. For z it is 3, minus 2, 1. And what was b? B is, should show, suppose be like this. What is b? This b is 10, 7, 5. So I have written this system in a more compact form like this. So this, if I do by this method, that will take a less time. Now what I do, so remember the process. What was the process? With the help of the first equation, I will eliminate this and I'll eliminate this. With the help of 1, I will eliminate this and eliminate this. So what are the things I have to multiply to equation 1? To equation 1, I will multiply what? I will first divide by 1, right? I'll first divide by 1, so no need to write that. I'll take the negative of this. So I will call that multiplier as m21. m21 is minus 1. Why m21? Because I am eliminating the first one between the first equation and the second equation. So we write like this m21. And similarly, what is m31? It is minus 2. The process is same. You are dividing by 1. Okay, so no need to write that. You will take the negative sign of here and negative sign here. Alright. So the idea is very simple. The idea is very simple, and this is a step 1. This is a step 1. The idea is very simple. What you have to do? You have to multiply this to the first equation and add here. You multiply this here and add here. So what is my new coefficient? You see, minus 1 into 1 is minus 1. Minus 1 plus 1 is 0. Minus 1 plus 1 is 0. No need to write that. 0 you will not write. Then minus 1 with 2 is minus 2. Minus 2 plus 3 is 1. You write here 1. No need to write here 0. And next, minus 1 into 3 is minus 3. Minus 3 minus 2 is minus 5. And minus 1 into 10 is minus 10. Plus 7, which is minus 3. So this is that equation which was actually coming by eliminating x1. So I have eliminated x1 or x from this equation. Similarly, so you see, I am doing the same process but in a more compact form, right? Next, what I will do, the same thing, multiply this to the first equation and add to the third equation. So this will become minus 2. Minus 2 plus 2 is nothing but 0. No need to write. minus 4 minus 1, it will become minus 5, minus 6 plus 1 minus 5, and then minus 20 plus 5 is nothing but minus 15, right? So this is my this is after the first step. I have eliminated x1. I have eliminated x1 between the first and the second equation, and the second and the first and the third equation. I am doing the same thing. Don't forget that this is my step 2 now. Now what I will do, I'll eliminate x2 from here, or y from this 2. So for that I will write the multiplier like this, m32. Why m32? Just this time I am using the second equation in the third equation, right? Now what is that? I will take an opposite sign. I will have to take divide by 1, so no need to write, and I have to take here 5. So m32 is 5. So multiply this by 5 and add here. Multiply this to 5 and add here. So what will this become? 5 minus 5 is 0, no need to write. 5 into minus 5 is minus 25. Minus 25 minus 5 is nothing but minus 30. And 5 into minus 3 is minus 15. Minus 15 minus 15 is minus 30. And this is my step 3. This is my step 3. This is where I will end. This is where I will end. This is my step 3. This is the end of the process. Now, what are my pivotal equations? This one is my pivotal equation. This one and this one. So I will write that down. So,
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
Sir, can you repeat?
What are my pivotal equations? The pivotal equations are, so the first one remains as it is, that is x. Take this as the number. So x plus 2y plus 3z equals to 10. The second pivot is this, that is y minus 5z equals to minus 3, and minus 30z equals to minus 30. These are my pivotal equations, and it's very easy to solve the pivotal equations. You just quickly solve the pivotal equation and tell me what are you getting. Now you see, we have done the same process but in a more compact form. So I will ask you to do this way. If you do it this way, your process will give you answer fast. It will give you rapidly, because we don't have to write x, y, z so many times. So if you solve this, so I will simply write down the answer. So therefore, what are the answer I will get? You will get z equals to 1. You will get z equals to 1, because you can clearly see, you put here 1. So this will become 5 minus y will be 2, and your x will be 3. So this is your answer. X equals to 3, y equals to 2, and z equals to 1. So this answer is given by Gauss elimination method. We'll again use the compact table form to solve this. So let's draw the compact table for Gauss elimination method. So I will have to write the steps here. So right here, this will be my steps. So steps required very small space. Let me give some space to multiply this time. MIJs, I will give some space here. Here I have x1, here I have x2, here I have x3, and here I have b. So I may give some space. This is my b. Let me give some space to b as well. Let me write down the coefficients very quickly. So they must be arranged. Okay, that means if I give here x2, if I give here x1, you first arrange them, then you write the coefficients. The coefficients are 8, 1, 2. It's already arranged. So 8, 1, 2. The coefficient here is 2, minus 8, 1, minus 2, 3, 9, and here it is 8 minus 4, 12. Okay, so this is where my step 1 will end. This is my step 1. Now I have to take the multipliers, right? So I will write the multipliers the same name, M21. So what is my M21? So I will first divide by 8. Remember that? So I will divide by 8. And then I will take the opposite sign of this. So minus 1. So my first multiplier is this. Minus 1 by 8. You can actually keep that in point also if you want to. Or you can keep it like this also. Okay. And the second multiplier is, you will again divide by 8. And the opposite sign of this. That is minus 2. So which on simplifying becomes minus 1 by 4. So these are my two multipliers. So remember that I will have to multiply this here. I will have to multiply this here and add this to this one. I will add this to this one. Keep that in mind. This is the process. You don't draw this in a table. I am just explaining. You multiply this by this and add here. So this time I will take help of my calculator. So first of all is easy. If you multiply here with minus 1 by 8. So 8 and 8 got cancelled. So this will become minus 1. Minus 1 plus 1 will 0. And this should definitely come 0. Just because my aim is to eliminate x1. If it is not coming 0, that means you are not eliminating x1. Okay, now I will multiply 2 with minus 1 by 8. That will become minus 2 by 4. Sorry, minus 1 by 4. So, minus 1 by 4. Okay, I am doing minus 1 by 4. I am adding that to, I will add that to minus 8. I will add that to minus 8. I will simply write minus 8. So, minus 8. What am I getting? I will write in point. Minus 8.25. I will write here minus. You have to keep in point only. That will be better. You are allowed to use your calculators. Keep that in mind. Okay. Now, I will multiply minus 2 with minus 1 by 8. So, minus minus becomes plus 2 by 8. 2 by 8 is 1 by 4. So 1 by 4 is actually 0.25, I may write, and I'll add that to 3. So plus 3. So 3.25. And similarly, I will multiply minus 1 by 8 to b. So minus 1 by 8 into 8. So 8 and 8 got cancelled. Minus 1. Minus 1 minus 4 is minus 5. So I am getting this equation. Similarly, you will now multiply minus 1 by 4 here and then add it to here. That means I will divide by minus 4. As simple as that. I will divide by minus 4. This is same as that, no? So I will divide 8 by minus 4. My answer will be minus 2. Minus 2 plus 2 will be 0. It should definitely come 0 because I am eliminating x1. Now 2 divided by minus 4 is minus half. Minus half is minus 0.5. Minus 0.5 plus 1 is 0.5 or 0.5, right? So 0.5. I am dividing this by minus 4, so minus minus cancel. 1 by 2. 1 by 2 means half, that is 0.5. 0.5 plus 9 is 9.5. And I am dividing this by minus 4, this will become minus 2. Minus 2 plus 12 is 10. So this is the end of my second step. And this I have successfully eliminated x1 from the second and third equations using the first one. If you have any confusion up to here, feel free to ask. Let me take the multiplier now to with what is my next multiplier? M. I'll call this multiplier as M32. So what is that multiplier? I'll first divide by minus 8.25, right? And I will have to take opposite sign of this. So minus 0.5. So this is my multiplier. So what is my multiplier if I write it more precisely? 0.5 divided by divided by 8.25. What am I getting? I'm getting a bit hectic. So if you want to take this, you can take this. Otherwise, let's keep this in fraction, or let's take this in point also. So again, let me take minus 5 divided by 8.25. I'm getting, as you can see, 0.0606. So let me take that 0.0606. There is no space. I'll try to fit here 0.0606. I hope I was getting this on. Yes, because this minus minus will get cancelled and become plus. So the aim is this: I have to multiply this here and add it here. Right? So don't write this in your table. I'm just explaining you. So what is my third step in that case? The third step will end somewhere here. Okay. Definitely this will become 0. You may check, it should become 0 only. So I will multiply minus 8.25 with 0.0606. So minus 8.25 into 0.0606. I'm getting this added with 0.5. Yeah, it's very 0.0000 something. That means it's coming 0 only, right? Because I've actually rounded off this, which I was not supposed to do. You could have to take this in fraction also. So this will definitely get eliminated 0. Avoid that now. Multiply this to this plus this. So 3.25 into 0.0606 added to 9.5. What am I getting? 9.69. If I round it off, this will become 70, right? What they are getting 9.69. You can just round it off. I will get 69. If I round it up to 3 decimal places, it will become 7. You can round it up to 4 decimal places also. Now, similarly, I will multiply this number to this and add this to this. So, what will I remain with? 0.0606 into minus 5 added to 10. 9.697. So, I have the pivots now. So, the pivotal equations are we write the pivotal equations in other way around also. So if I take this first, so this is 9.697. The third variable is nothing but 9.697. The second pivot is this. The second pivot is this. So let me write it down. Minus 8.25 x2 plus 3.25 x3 is nothing but minus 5, and the first pivot is this one, the first one. So 822. So 8x1 plus 2x2 minus 2x3 equals to 8. Your task is to solve for x1, x2, x3. It's very simple to solve. x3 is clearly 1. As you can see, this 2 will get cancelled. x3 is exactly 1. Solve for x2 and x3. See, I am asking you, give your answer correct up to two significant figures. I'm writing in short form, but you should write in full form, significant figures. I hope you have been taught significant figures in Unit 1. So, can you tell me the answer to this equation? So, on solving this equation, you should get x1 equals to x2 equals to x3 equals to 1.0. Why I am writing 1.0? Because this is the form of writing two significant figures, 1 and 2. So, this is two significant figures. So, this is my answer. I hope you can do it. So if you have any confusion regarding this step, regarding this process Gauss elimination method, feel free to ask. So now we start with something called as Gauss-Jordan iteration method. Okay, so I will not write the name for the time being. Now first I should teach you something called as what I mean by diagonally dominant system. Dominant system, or I should more precisely write down strictly diagonally. Right here, strictly. Okay, strictly diagonal dominant. Acha, acha. I should write this term differently. So diagonally dominant system and strictly diagonally dominant system. Strictly diagonally dominant system.
Which chapter is it?
Sorry,
New chapters.
we are still doing system of linear equations. I will teach you what is another method. Like one method I taught you something called as Gauss elimination method. Now I will teach you what is known as Gauss-Jordan iteration method. But before going to that method, I have to teach you something called as when do I call a system of equation diagonally dominant or strictly diagonally dominant. I will tell you what I mean by this. Let me write any system. Suppose I will write a 4x4 system or a 3x3 system. Let me start a 3x3 system. So a11 x1 plus a12 x2 plus a13 x3 is suppose b1, a21 x1, a22 x2, a33 x3 equals to b2, and a31 x1, a32 x2, and a33 sorry, this will be 2 3 no? And this is 33 x3 equals to b3. Suppose I have this system. Suppose I have this 3x3 system. Okay. So the above system is called diagonally dominant system if this happens. What happens, I'll tell you. If modulus of a11 is greater or equals to modulus of a12 plus a13, modulus of a22 is greater or equals to modulus of a21 plus modulus of a23, and modulus of, I'll explain, don't worry, just write it down, a33 is greater or equals to modulus of a31 plus a32. That means I will call this system diagonally dominant. So look at the diagonal. Now the name comes from here. Look at the diagonal. So the diagonal is this. This is the diagonal. So whichever numbers are negative, I'll make that positive. That means I'm taking here mod. You know, mod makes the number positive. Now I will call this system diagonally dominant if this number, the diagonal number, the numbers present in the diagonal are more than the sum of these numbers. So I will call this system diagonally dominant when this, the positive part, the modulus basically, so the modulus of this is more than or equal to their sum. This is greater or equal to this plus this, the modulus values, definitely. We are not taking the negative signs. And this, the modulus of this is greater or equal to this plus this. Understood the definition of a diagonally dominant system? So the number present in the diagonal, yeah, I will repeat, don't worry. So the number in the diagonal, first of all, you see I'm talking about modulus. That means whenever there is a negative sign, I will avoid that. I will just take the positive numbers there. Okay. So the number in the diagonal is actually greater or equals to the sum of all other numbers. Do not look at this one, just look here. So this is greater or equals to this plus this, taking the positive part only. This number is greater or equals to this plus this, and this number is greater or equals to this plus this. Wait, I'll just take an example of a 4 by 4 system, then you'll understand. Suppose I have a 4 by 4 system. So let me write a 4 by 4 system, then again I'll explain. So consider this system: A11 x1, A12 x2, A13 x3, A14 x4 equals to, suppose, B1, A21, A22, A23, A24. I'm just starting the matrix form, okay? And A31 x1, A32 x2, A33 x3, A34 x4, and A41 x1, A42 x2, A43 x3, A44 x4 equals to B4. So when will I call this system a diagonally dominant system? When, look at the diagonal element, this, right? When will I call this system a diagonally dominant system? When modulus of A11 is greater or equals to modulus of A12 plus modulus of A13 plus modulus of A14. And not only that, this will be true for every equation. Now, number 2, A22, modulus of A22 is greater or equals to modulus of A21, modulus of A23, modulus of A24. Modulus of A33 should be same as modulus of A31 plus modulus of A32 and modulus of A34. And modulus of A44 is greater or equals to modulus of A41, modulus of A42 and modulus of A43. Then I will call this system a diagonally dominant system. Now did you understand? So I'm not writing here because it will take a lot of time, but remember the 4 conditions. The 4 conditions which I told you, that must be satisfied. Here only 3 conditions must be satisfied. And if any one condition fails, I will not call that system a diagonally dominant system. If any one condition fails, I will not call that system a diagonally dominant system. Okay? Now, what I mean by a strictly diagonally dominant system, when there is no equality. That means I'll call this system strictly diagonally dominant when modulus of A11 is greater than, not equal to, will not take that equal to. So I'll call that strictly diagonally dominant when modulus of A11 is greater than modulus of A12 plus A13. So if I am not taking this equality, I will call the system as strictly diagonally dominant system. That means this is only greater. There is no chance of being equal also. This is big as compared to this one. Understood the term diagonally dominant and strictly diagonally dominant system? So let's see some examples. So let me write a system first of all. Consider this system which I have given it to you. Is this system diagonally dominant? What do you think? Is this system diagonally dominant? Yes, very good. The answer is no, because you can see here this is not diagonally dominant. Look at the elements here. Here the element are A11 is 1, A12 is 1 and A13 is 4. Look at this number 1, 1, 4. That's what I have written. But modulus of A11 is less than modulus of A12 plus modulus of A13. To be diagonally dominant, this number should be greater than the sum of these two, which is not true here, can be easily seen. But this is less, not more, because 1 plus 4 is 5 and this is not more than 5 or equal to 5. So the given system, because the first condition is only not satisfied, we will not check for other conditions, because if any one of these does not holds, I will not proceed further, because to be diagonally dominant all three must be valid. So the given system is not diagonally dominant, but we can make this into a diagonally dominant system. I'll make this into a diagonally dominant system. We make this system diagonally dominant. How can I make this system diagonally dominant? You see here, because I am seeing a big number here, I will call this as the first equation. Let's see, I will write this as the first equation, 8x1. I'll exchange their places in simple words. You see, I have exchanged the place. So this time, the first equation is diagonally dominant because 8 is more than 3 plus 2, 5, right? I'm taking the mod. Keep that in mind. So I'm sending the second equation to the first equation. Now, if I take this in the second one, still this will not be diagonally dominant because 1 is not more than 1 plus 4. But if I choose this as my second equation, here it is 11. Acha, just a minute. I don't know why it's coming blurry. Oh, okay. So sorry. Somebody's hotspot. Is it now clear?
No, sir.
Not yet. Just a minute. Why it's coming like this? Now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I am sending, if I send this, if I make this my first equation, I will make this as my second equation. That means 4x1 plus 11x2 minus x3 equals to 33. And this one, the last equation, that means x1 plus x2 plus 4x3 equals to 9. Now you see here, I have written the same system by rearranging things, by rearranging the equations. That will not hamper the solution because I'm just changing their place, but the equations are exactly the same. So I have just changed their positions. This is my new first equation, this is my new second equation, this is my new third equation. And you now see this is diagonally dominant. Why? And actually strictly diagonally dominant. Why? As you can see, mod 8 is greater than mod minus 3 plus mod 2. 8 is greater than 5. Here mod 11 is greater than mod 4 plus mod minus 1. That is 11 is more than 5. And last one, this one. So 8, 11 and 4. 4 is greater than mod 1 plus mod 1. So all these three are satisfied. Thus, the system is, I wanted diagonally dominant, but it has come strictly diagonally dominant. That's all. That's fine. That's no problem in that. Okay, the system is strictly diagonally dominant. Or you may simply write that it is diagonally dominant. We will not be interested that much in the strictly diagonally dominant and diagonally dominant. But still, to be more precise, the system is now strictly diagonally dominant. So even if a system is not diagonally dominant, there may be ways to make that diagonally dominant. Okay. So understood up to here? Any confusion? So if there are 4 equations, you have to check the 4 conditions. Keep that in mind. Okay, so you have to check for first one, second one, third one and fourth one also. So now, why did I teach you about the diagonally dominant system? Because the next method, see, we are now doing numerical methods of solving system of linear equations. So I have already taught you one method, Gauss elimination. Now the two methods which I will be teaching further, which will be one Gauss-Jordan and Gauss-Seidel. When I teach you these two methods, while solving the sums using these two methods, I will have to assume, or my equations must be diagonally dominant. Okay, I can use those methods only when my system is diagonally dominant. Suppose I want to solve this system by Gauss-Jordan method, then my system should be diagonally dominant. Because it was not diagonally dominant, I cannot use the Gauss-Jordan method. So that is the reason I will make that system diagonally dominant and then apply the Gauss-Jordan method. What is the Gauss-Jordan method? I will explain in the next class. Okay, so I have already taught you how to convert a non-diagonally dominant system to a diagonally dominant system. There may be a possibility to make that. Okay, and only once when my system is diagonally dominant, then only I can apply the Gauss-Jordan method to solve it. So that's all for today. In the next class, I will teach you about Gauss-Jordan method. Thank you for joining the class.